morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, we are on a roll here. We are on episode 2 of MoonLight, entitled Summon the Suit. All right. I'm starting to figure out a little bit. They gave us a lot more information that I can understand as someone who is unfamiliar with this character. So what we see, you remember I told you had that Grim Reaper looking character? That's actually Khonsu. So apparently Khonsu is one of the Egyptian gods. And MoonLight is basically the Egyptians' god's avatar. So he professes that he will do the god's bidding, and then in turn, the god will then give him, the avatar, his powers. So this is how MoonLight gets his powers. Now, what is clear is that Mark Spector, Stephen Grant are the same person. They is just the different personalities within the body. So because these personalities are able to manifest and the fracture in the brain or whatever is going on is be able to manifest, this is how Khonsu was able to come in. Now, when, where, and how all of that happened, we don't know for sure. However, that so far is the premise that I understand how Stephen and Mark are in there, because at first I thought that he was a disembodied spirit, and then he saw Stephen, and then he just jumped in there. But apparently they've been in there for forever. It's my understanding. All right, so we open up the episode. You see Stephen waking up, going back to work, and you realize that, because you remember the last episode, that ain't no damn puppy was running after Stephen, and then Stephen allowed Mark to come inside of him and then become MoonLight, and they killed that damn puppy. Jack, or whatever it is you want to call it, because it wasn't no damn puppy. So we see him now, and he goes into work, and the bathroom is tore up from the floor up. They've got everybody in there. The security guard that calls him Scotty was telling him, they say it's a plumbing issue, but when I looked out there, it looked like something had really torn up the bathroom. And so Stephen was like, well, did you see the security footage? The security guard was like, I was just getting into it. They look at the computer footage. They see it's Stephen coming out of there. And what's interesting that I have noted, that I'm thinking that Oscar Isaac, I'm not familiar with him. I'm going to look him up. But he's a really good actor, because just facial features. Because you can definitely tell the difference between Mark and Stephen just by the way they look, just by the way they stare. That's a skill. So you see that it's Mark coming out of the bathroom. So Stephen's got to go to HR. They give him pamphlets, tell him, hey, you can find you a counselor. But basically, they weren't going to press charges against him. They were just going to fire him. So they fired him. So he no longer works at the museum, which I think is good for him. It frees him up from a lot of stuff. Now, I don't know how he was paying his bills or anything like that anyway, but we'll just keep it moving. So I'm going to bounce around. We didn't get introduced to, what is her name? Mark's wife. I'm going to call her Mark's wife, Layla. We get introduced to Layla because at this point, after he's gotten fired, Stephen is trying to figure things out. Mark is telling him not to figure it out. Don't do it. Just let me take over when I need to. But Stephen is like, no, I'm not going to do that. We can't get hurt or anything like that. And he's talking. And so he sees the key to the storage shed. He goes to the storage shed and he finds out the apparatuses and things that Mark uses to be able to do what he has to do. Anyway, as he's there, Khonsu is trying to keep him in the place, because Mark and Stephen have a conversation through the shiny little glass. It wasn't glass, but it was the shiny steel. And Mark is telling him, look, just go home. Don't Don't try to get in fear. Don't do anything. Steven's like, no, you can't hurt anybody. I won't let you hurt anybody. He's like, you don't want to get in the middle of this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Da 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 da. So Kansu tries to stop him from leaving, and inevitably makes Steve really, really scared, and he runs off into the middle of the street. And that's where he meets Layla. He has Layla to take him back to the hotel. Layla is trying to figure some things out. Wants to know why he hasn't contacted her. All of these little different things. Steven doesn't know. So she was like, well, you didn't sign this. You left this for me, but you didn't sign this. And apparently Mark had put divorce papers down for her. So Steven was like, if I was married to you, I wouldn't divorce you. But anyway, Steven he was about to show her the scarab. Mark says, if you show her the scarab, her life is going to be in danger. Steven doesn't believe it. Well, then he believes that. So he stops, but Layla's like, well, what is in there? What is it that you don't want to show me? And then she pulls out the scarab, and she's like, oh, you have this? And all we went through to get this, and you still have this? So Steven is confused. He doesn't know what's going on. At that time, you hear a knock on the door. It's the police. And so Steven was like, well, the museum said that they weren't going to press charges, but I already knew that they did, because they weren't even acting like the police. They push in. They want to know who's there. He says that she's not there. And apparently Layla has jumped out the window, and she's out the window. And they take Steven. And then they take Steven to Harrow. That's what I remember him. Ethan Hawke's character. And he's in this little spot of London. He was like, they brought him to him, and he was trying to talk to him and schmooze him. And then we find out that Harrow used to be the avatar for Kansu. And that relationship ended. And I guess Mark became the avatar for Kansu. And so Harrow, I guess he likes being an avatar. So he wants to be the avatar for Ahmet. Now, one of the things that's interesting, because apparently Ahmet judges you if you're good or bad. And I don't know if it's good or bad, or if they just if that is just judging you on the whim. Because Harrow was trying to explain to Steve that that Ahmet can weed out the evildoers. And what to do. And he was like, well, I don't think that's fair. Stephen was like, I don't think that's fair, because how is it that you are going to judge a child and kill a child? He said, so you all are into killing children? And then he wouldn't say anything, because his followers started looking, but then they still hadn't said anything. Because it's like, if somebody is going to do something that's bad, judge them for that bad act when they do that bad act. Because apparently Ahmet says that's too late. She wants to judge them when she judges them. So Stephen is starting to realize that I don't think maybe I should give you the scarab, because that kind of force on the world is not good. Now, at that moment, that's what confused me, because I was like, wait a minute, hold up. When is this taking place? Is this taking place before or after the Thanos snap? Because they've already had the situation where half the town, half the population is gone. So I'm confused as to when this took place. Not that it matters per se, but it's just like, or are we in the multiverse? Is this happening in a whole nother universe? Huh. Anyway, we could talk about that later. But that's what just got me, because when they were saying that, I was like, wait a minute, where are they? Are they on Earth, Prime Earth, or are they someplace else? But anyway, let's not get too deep into that. Because that's interesting. That's an interesting question. So it ends up, Layla comes and says that she has a scarab. The people run off after Layla and Steven. They're running, moving, and everything like that. People are coming after him. And then Harrow summons a whole nother puppy, jackal they call him, but I'm gonna start calling the damn thing, it ain't no damn puppy. He summons one of them daggone things to go follow them. And then what's interesting than what I didn't know is that they are cloaked. So a regular person wouldn't see them. But I guess with Steven / Mark being an avatar, they can see them. But also what happened too is that when Layla threw some kind of substance on it, she was able to see it too. So they're cloaked. And that's why the people at the museum didn't see what was going on, because it just looked like on camera that probably Stephen was having a fit. But actually he was fighting the puppy. So Layla tells him to summon the suit. And he's like, what do you mean summon the suit? She says, I've seen you in the suit, and I've seen you do these things when you're in this suit. Summon the suit. Stephen doesn't know what he's talking about. He's in there screaming and hollering and running and all this other stuff. And she's like, summon the suit. And so he was like, I summon the suit. He summons the suit because he's falling out of the window. And just before he hits the ground, he does that little, that little superhero pose where they fall and then, in that crouching stance. But Steven's suit is nice. Mark summons the suit with the cape and all that other stuff. It looks good too. But Steven's suit looks snazzy. He looked like like Tom Ford or Oscar De La Renta. Somebody had fit his suit nice. That suit fit good. I was like, okay, I like a superhero that got a little fashions. Just a little fashions. So in the suit, he finds out that he has power and he has strength. And he does a good punch to that damn puppy. But it's not enough. And then there are people around. So he sees his reflection in the glass of the bus. And Mark says, hey, you're pretty good. You got a good punch. He says, but look around you. There are people around here. He says, let me take over. He says, because you're going to get somebody hurt. And the exchange happens. Mark leads that damn puppy away from the people. And then the damn puppy is dead. So Steven wants to get back in the body. Mark is like, nah, we not fixing to do this. You finna stay over here while I handle some business, because you all have given the scarab, because you interfered when you shouldn't have interfered. You have given the scarab to Harrow, and now he is going to go to Amit's tomb, and he is going to be her avatar. He is going to release her onto the world. So Khonsu comes to Mark at that moment and says, listen, you told me that this person wasn't going to be a problem, but he's coming back in and out. And Mark is like, no, he's not going to be a problem. He says, well, you know what you need to do, because I will drop you. When I went to you, you was almost a corpse. I will drop you as an avatar, and then I will get your wife to be my avatar. And Mark doesn't want that for his wife. He doesn't want that for Layla. And I think partly that was the reason why he wanted her to sign the divorce papers and be away from her, because he doesn't want Khonsu to get to her. So they flash and they're in Egypt. And that was basically the end of the episode, because they're trying to figure out where Amit's tomb is. So tell me if you like did you watch it? Did you like it? Because I just did a really quick overview. Y'all go and watch it. And if you want to use my videos as a guide, because like I said, I'm going into it with no knowledge of this character. And I am telling you that it is capturing my attention. It is interesting. Anytime you talk about Marvel and superheroes, I'm interested in seeing some of those things. So as I had talked about earlier, I am interested to know, when is this happening? Is it happening pre-snap? Is it happening post-snap? Is this an Earth in the multiverse? This is going to be interesting. I wonder if they're going to allude to let us know this information. I am interested in how Mark and Khonsu came into connection, because I do remember that when they arrested Stephen, they talked about that Mark was a mercenary who had killed a pastor or something like that in Egypt. So I'm wondering, is that how he got connected to it? What's the backstory between Harrow and Khonsu, and how did they split? That's an interesting subject. So it's a lot of little interesting things that are going on. What is going to happen? Because it's a drama, but there's a lot of comedy in it. Is there going to be instances that Mark is fighting for his life, and then Steven comes in with his scary tail and take over? I don't know what's going to happen, but I am on this ride. Are you on this ride with me? Let me know down in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Please, again, like. That's a thumbs up. Subscribe. Hey, let your friends, your family, your coworkers, and them folks who can't stand that I'm over here doing these video, child. And as always, we will see you later. Bye-bye.